Great, thank you very much, and apologies for this late start. We had some problems with the PowerPoint presentations in English, so we are going to use the one in Spanish. But then later, for you, we are going to upload or send the version in English. And I think we were also trying to get Alberto to connect, because he's actually the owner of this exercise. So probably he also had some problems. So I'm going to start the presentation, and with this exercise based on the Mexican experience, the micro simulation that was done in 2013, when the fiscal reform was about to be presented by the Mexican president Enrique Peña Nieto to the Congress. And this is the typical example that we use every time when we make a short presentation of the fiscal toolkit. It's very I don't know, probably is the most successful example we have. Obviously, the story short is that at the end, based on, or at least in part based on these results, the Mexican president sent a law to the Congress that did not include the value-added tax to food and medicines. So basically, what we have is in this slide. What we have is the scenarios, the scenarios that we had for the micro simulation, and the last one was value-added tax, the VAT generalized for everyone. That would be this one. Okay, let me see if I can use the tools as our professional teachers. This one. And then we had 6 different scenarios. One was the status quo, that was the situation before the reform. And then that would be this one. And then the generalized VAT also. Oh, I'm sorry, I was confused. Oh, I see. Take first. Right. Okay, I think it's now moving. All right. So what I was saying is there it is. All right. So we had 2 big scenarios. One is where people can pay, for example, if we take into account places where that are informal, such as informal markets, for example, then you will pay VAT in those places. So that scenario was for generalized VAT, but then without taking in, considering that you wouldn't pay VAT in informal places. That was one scenario. That's the one at the bottom of this graph. And then if you don't assume that, if you assume that you would pay VAT everywhere in formal or in informal places, then the micro simulation was done for six scenarios. One was a status quo, the first one. Then it was a generalized VAT, and then the third one was generalized VAT except the basic basket of food, and then the fourth one was a generalized VAT minus basic basket of food and medicines, and then the fifth one was generalized VAT less basic basket of food and items that were exempt of VAT, and the sixth was generalized VAT minus the basic basket of food, medicines, and exempt items. So, which ones were these bundles? The VAT, the basic bundles of items were basically food, medicines, or first need items were food, medicines, the basic bundle of food, that is a selection of certain items that are considered for measuring prices, the price index, and those who had zero tax. So these were not exempt of a VAT, but had a zero tax VAT. So it's almost like exempt. Then we had the alcohol and tobacco, and tobacco, that was alcohol, beer, also drinks with like Coca-Cola, like pop drinks, and then tobacco. Then we also had a bundle of different sources of energy: electricity, diesel, and gasoline, and LP gas as well. And then items that were exempt, that is education, housing, transport, water, and medical services. And the rest were items with tax and telecommunications. So we had, if we think places where you wouldn't pay VAT, this would be, for example, the government stores, where in rural communities where you can buy certain items, that is the CONSA, or in cities. There in Mexico, there are these stores also where you can buy subsidized milk in marginalized neighborhoods, and that is a different kind of a store. It's called Liconza, right? That is Liconza, and then you have supermarkets. And in supermarkets, obviously, you would pay tax as well. You would pay the VAT in case it was added, or in case food was included as part of VAT. But then you have the tianguis, and in tianguis there is it's like a producer's market where people go and sell their products, like lettuce and bananas, etc. And in those places, it would be really, really difficult for people to pay the tax, because probably they wouldn't have they are probably not even in the registered as economic units. People selling in those in those tianguis. And then also important, as you know, is the physical incidence by decile, probably by zone and population groups. And as you know, the idea of this is to measure changes in the inequality, for example, in the Gini coefficient and in the poverty index. So how do we build the the simulator? So based on the micro data from the survey, that would be in the household income and expenditure, National Household Income and Expenditure Survey. In Spanish, it's called ENIG. So ENIG is the source, and but this survey has different files with microdata. So, for example, the income from agriculture is in one file, and then we have you also have a file that is for non-agriculture, and one file for people over 12 years old, and one file about jobs and etc. So you need to know which files to merge. So one first thing about microsimulation is to know very well your income survey. So what is here is the PDF. So it's very important that you consult your PDFs with your survey, where you can see what is the survey structure, the sample design, the questionnaire, the definitions for the variables in each file, etc. And you have some files in DBF, and that's usually DBF is one type of file with microdata. But if you're going to use the other, for example, if you use Stata, then you need to convert those files in the right form. So some of the files that you would need to do this microsimulation are the concentrated file. That is a file where you have a summary of results. So you, instead of having the raw data set for incomes, then you in the concentrated file, you have a summary of incomes, probably already turned into manageable variables like monetary income and non-monetary income in the standard periods of time, like quarterly or monthly. You also need the expenditure at the household level, that is the second with the arrow, and then the expenditure at the individual level. And because you need to know basically what items are bought for the household, but you need to know also the items that are bought individually. And finally, you need the information about the population, that is especially those who are working, that's or the economically active population, that is the POBLA 12 DBF file. Then what does it look like when you open the different, for example, in the codes with all the food, for example. So in this slide, what we have are the codes with different kinds of food. For example, the first one would be corn in grain, and then corn, ground corn, and then the 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 dough for making tortillas, and then you also have the tortillas and tostadas. There are different kinds of corn products, and then I don't know, like cookies and bread for sandwiches and for different kinds of cakes and rice and cereal and instant soups and other kinds of cereals and meat, different kinds of meat, and or hamburgers for to cook, etc. So that would be the code, and then the description, and then you have what kind of food is that, all right? So you have if that food is part of the basic bundle of food, or if it's just food, even though it's not part of the basic bundle. So you have the different classifications, and that is very, very useful for our microsimulation, because based on those classifications, then we can select the items in our different categories. So what we have here is the first rows are basic need items. That would be general food items, and then the basic bundle of foods, then medicines, and those with zero tax. Then, and as you can see, it's a long list of codes with those with food items, and then we have the codes for tobacco and alcoholic drinks and pop drinks, and then the different sources of energies: diesel, electricity, LP gas, natural gas, and gasoline. Items that are exempt, and the rest of items that in which you pay tax. So knowing your survey and knowing the codes for the items and which items go in different category is very important. Then we go to the micro data, and in the data set, this is a picture of how do you see it in Excel. And the first column is the dwelling code. It's a folio VIP, and then sometimes in Mexico you have more than one household in one dwelling. That's why you have a second column with folio OG. That would be the household code within the dwelling. So for what you see there, it's only zeros, but it could be the case that you could have, for example, if you have 3 households in one dwelling, then you would have, for the same dwelling code, you would have probably 0, 1, and 2 divided into households. Then the third one is a combination of the previous 2 columns, and the third is the codes that we were talking about in the previous slide. Then you have what kind of expenditure is that. Then that expenditure was done, the payment form, that is, if, for example, if it was with in cash and a credit card, etc. Where did you buy that item? And that is important for the simulation, taking into account that in an informal places you wouldn't pay for VAT. Then how the frequency, the date that you acquired, the date of payment, probably that those are in zeros because they probably are not active, only if there's a difference between one and the other. And then you have an expenditure, and then at the end, so this one, for example, this column is where you have expenditure, but then at the end of it, you have a standardized expenditure. That is the first, the column with the first arrow would be the expenditure, but you don't know if that expenditure was made like weekly or monthly, or the periodicity of that. And the survey already has that in a standardized way. So you have a quarterly expenditure for that particular item, right? So that's the way you take into account that. Then you, with considering the standardized expenditure, quarterly expenditure for those items, you build a dynamic table. Unfortunately, this is the picture of the Excel, so I cannot show how it works with this slide. But with the dynamic table, you build the summary of expenditures by household, all right? And then you build with the dynamic tables and some programming that you're about to see. You build the presentation sheets, all right, with the VAT and the special taxes, which are similar to VAT but higher. For the not for particular items, but for these different categories that we were building before, all right? So you have the food and alcoholic drinks, basic bundles, and beer and diesel and electricity, and you see if those are paid at the interior of the country. That would be this column, which is different. The VAT is different to places, to border places like in the north of Mexico. They have a different VAT. And then you have your different scenarios. What happens if you move from 11%, that is in the border places, to 16% as the rest of the country? So you have, this is your column with the different scenarios, and in here you're simulating the generalized VAT, including things that are out of the like basic bundle that has 0 here, but 16, and that would be the scenario for the interior, for the rest of the country, and the scenario for the border bases. So and in places different buying places. Like you have markets and tianguis. That's the one that I was saying to you, or street vendors. So with this list of places to buy, you can see, you can apply the criteria okay. You can see the criteria for if you take into account the what you bought in a tianguis or an informal place or in a general store. So once you have that, your presentation sheets with your different scenarios that you want to run, you have to see them the data set at household level. In this case, for example, what we have here is the factor de expansión, factor expansion. This one is a variable because when you have a survey, the expansion factor is really important. For example, if you have 10,000 households in your survey, but your population is about, I don't know, 100 million or more, then you need to expand your survey to be so once you have your results are not for 10,000 households, but for the population of 100 and something million people. And in this sheet, you also have the locality size, the household size. Ahead is the basic geo-referenced area, income decile, and the difference for VAT if in terms of the region, that is the interior or the rest of the country, and the border with the United States in Mexico. The municipality, and also the annual income and the annual expenditure. Okay, and then the expenditure for different places. That is, for example, a supermarket or tianguis. That is the informal market, etc. You cannot see the rest of the columns. The idea is to have it in one slide. With that, you build the formulas. In this case, have the formulas here for the different items, the groups of items, I should say. That's a way to, if you in Excel could show formulas, then instead of seeing the results, you can see the formulas there, and that's a very easy way to see your formulas instead of numbers. And because of time, I'm not going to describe, and because obviously I didn't build this formula, so I don't want to misinform you about the content of the formula, but that would be the formula for monthly to estimate the monthly expenditure. As you can see, some of them are divided by 3.02, and that would be, if you use the quarterly expenditure, you have to divide by that number to get a monthly expenditure. And you also estimate the discount factor for and this here is the formula for the discount factor for the group of items, right? And with that information, you estimate your you discount your taxes, and you analyze that expenditure. So once you have a monthly expenditure, probably it would be easier to multiply just your quarterly expenditure by 4. But here I learned what he's doing is to have monthly expenditure and then multiply it by 12. And with that, also you estimate your new taxes, for the different scenarios, depending on if it's at the interior or at the frontier, or if it's a special tax. There's scenarios here, right? And finally, well, not finally, but well, you selecting, you would create a vector of expand data here. That is the one in green with the and here you can see if in your table, if you're charging the tax with the in the first green circle, and then what if it's applied for the different categories of items that we build, and then you have your a vector of taxes for those group of items. Once you have that, I see that Alberto is probably here. And what we have here is the results for and in this slide we have the expansion factor, the income, different kinds of income, the region. So this is like a summary results with the in which you can see if the tax is applied for food, for medicines, for basic bundles, etc. Okay. This is the macro to estimate and to build the interface in Excel. And this is the script. With this script, once you have your information in your in the order you want, then with this script you can have this interface in which you just press a button and then get results to estimate, for example, the the Gini coefficient or the poverty index based on your poverty lines, etc. And so what would be basically the recommendations for those doing microsimulations based on for a certain country? One is to have a book, with a record, a log file with your changes, and that's not only for microsimulation. That was actually very useful every time you use, for example, any kind of an estimation. That way you can go back if there's a mistake. It's very easy to go back and fix it and then just run the estimation again. So it's very important to have a log file. Then to have your files for your different scenarios in one scenario per file. So that way you can see your different results. Then a lot of patience. Sometimes it is a bit frustrating to work with data and see, for example, if you're running Excel. The problem with Excel is that everything is processed in your RAM memory. So it's really, really hard, and you can turn your computer really slow. And the fourth one is be creative. So that's more or less the presentation that Alberto prepared for us. Unfortunately, he was not here, and I had to explain this presentation very basically, and without much of the detail that he would probably explain. And but then, well, I hope it was at least some use. And I don't know if you have questions. Please, we still have 10 minutes left, but then please don't forget to finish your activities from the course and participate in the forums and complete the satisfaction survey. I shouldn't say this last one, because obviously this session was probably not ideal. So do you have any questions here? Alberto is here. Alberto, ¿cómo estás? Alberto.
Hola Iván, mira, yo tenía marcado a las 8 de la mañana, hora de México, y hubo ahí un problema. Bueno.
So Alberto saying, yes, I can hear you. Te escucho.
Sí.
Alberto is saying that he got confused with the time. He thought it was 1 hour later. Pues ya yo di tu presentación, Alberto, pero no sé si quieras decir algo rápidamente antes de que cerremos la sesión, porque evidentemente yo no pude ir a mucho detalle con respecto a tu presentación, la presentación que tenías preparada.
Yo estoy moviéndola, ¿puedo tomarla?
Toma el control. Y pregunta Javier, cómo podemos tener un log file cuando estamos trabajando en Excel. Tal vez esa... Yo no veo que se mueva la presentación, Alberto.
Es que no me han dado lo de la presentación.
Tienes que apretar el botón de arriba que dice tomar control de la presentación.
A ver. ¿Ya se mueve?
Ya.
Bueno, a ver. ¿Qué dice Javier?
Que cómo podemos tener llevar un registro en Excel de los cambios, o sea, como un log file, como se tiene en Stata.
No, eso no lo tenemos esa posibilidad no la tenemos en Excel. Entonces, por ello es que recomiendo la parte de la bitácora, para ir viendo qué cambios se han ido haciendo.
O sea, no es un archivo como en Stata, sino tú tienes que llevar un registro de las operaciones, un registro manual.
Sí.
Okay. So, to answer Javier's question, how can you keep a log file when working with Excel? The thing is that you don't have a log file for example, as in Stata. So you need to keep track of your operations in a separate file, and you have to do it manually. It's not done automatically as in Stata, for example. It's important to keep record of that. Okay.
Mira, una de las cosas que tuve que hacer, porque ayer intenté ver el tamaño de los archivos, fue que todos los archivos pesan arriba de 13, algunos 8 megas, y por eso tuve que hacer esta presentación en PowerPoint. Un tema que me parece importante es esta parte de la construcción de la base de datos a partir de los microdatos, es el tomar en cuenta que en el caso de México te permite tenerlos en DBF. En otros países automáticamente te los da en Stata, y en algún otro país te los llega a dar en R. Algunos lo que utilizan.
Espera un segundo. So what Alberto is saying is that in some places the idea was to run the exercise in live on Excel. But then one of the problems that he had is that the files were really heavy, and so that's why he made this PowerPoint instead. And in some countries you have DBF files, but in some others you don't have DBF files. You have files in Stata or in R format. Entonces, sí, Alberto, perdón.
Y en otros lo suben en SPSS. En el caso de México tenemos la oportunidad de tener un manual que se llama Conociendo la encuesta correspondiente. En otros países lo que tenemos que utilizar es los metadatos que te proporciona Stata, o en su caso SPSS. Nunca he trabajado con R.
Okay, so in some countries you also have files in SPSS, and it's important to see how the metadata is built based on the manuals. And Alberto says that he has never worked with the SPSS. ¿Nunca has trabajado con SPSS?
No, con R.
Con R. He has never worked with R. That's the thing. Okay.
Uno de los elementos que es importante tomar en cuenta en esta tabla es esta tabla viene con la clave del artículo, y esta es la descripción del artículo en la encuesta. En el caso de México, esto son 9,000 artículos.
Okay. Alberto is saying that in the case of Mexico, there's a table that we saw earlier with codes and descriptions of different items. In the case of Mexico, it's more than 9,000 items.
Recuerden la idea del rompecabezas. Esta parte es el criterio que nosotros establecimos de canastas fiscales.
And that is the criteria that was established for fiscal baskets, different fiscal baskets. And that we recall the idea of a puzzle. Sí,
este cuadro nos muestra cuántos artículos conforman cada canasta, porque a cada grupo se le da un tratamiento fiscal diferente.
So this is to remind ourselves what items are in each category, because each category has a different tax, a different tax, adelante.
Como ustedes pueden ver, hay, por ejemplo, alimentos, tiene una gran cantidad de bienes, y hay bienes que son una sola canasta, por ejemplo, el caso de electricidad y diésel, pero esto es por lo que pidieron, por lo que pidió la institución a modelar.
Okay, so this is also based on what the institution, in this case, the SOR, who was the one requesting this microsimulation, wanted to simulate. For example, in the case of sources of energies, like LP gas or natural gas, etc.
Bueno,
adelante, Alberto.
Aquí una de las cosas que es importante tener para el caso de México es, y en varios países, es que ustedes tienen un folio vivienda y un folio hogar. Si ustedes nada más toman en cuenta el folio vivienda y tratan de ver cuántos hogares son los de la encuesta, no va a haber coincidencia.
Alberto is talking about what we discussed earlier, that we have a variable for the dwelling, and that is the first column, and then a variable for the household, and that you need to take into account both, because within one household you can have, within one dwelling you could have more than one household. Adelante, Alberto.
Y bueno, aquí lo que nosotros tenemos es la clave vivienda, el folio vivienda y la clave folio hogar. Esto implica las características propias de los hogares con respecto a esa vivienda. Por ello es que nosotros tenemos que crear una nueva variable que le vamos a llamar folio vivienda hogar. Esto nosotros lo logramos utilizando el comando de concatenar en Excel.
So the third column is the combination of both the first two columns. That is folio vivienda hogar, that would be like a code for dwelling and household, that is used with the command concatenate to build that code.
Esta variable va a ser nuestra llave para poder relacionar todos los archivos que proporciona la encuesta.
This household, new household variable is our key to merge all the files from the survey to gather information from all the different files. Adelante.
La variable que utilizamos nosotros es gasto trimestral, como les comentó Iván.
So that's the quarterly expenditure, as we mentioned, is the variable that we use, the last one.
Ya que hicimos, recuperamos la base de microdatos, nosotros vamos a ligar esta clave que nosotros identificamos acá, ¿sí? Le vamos a buscar en Excel, vamos a buscar esta clave en esta base.
So we are going to search for the codes from the previous slide in this data set.
Y vamos a pedir en el buscar B que nos ponga, cada vez que reconozca esta clave, nos va a poner esta canasta fiscal.
So every time so we are going to use a search function, and every time you find a certain code, you're going to ask to apply certain tax for that item. Adelante, Alberto.
Thanks. Aquí lo que vamos a usar es la tabla dinámica, y la tabla dinámica está en el menú Insertar, y ustedes le van a dar tabla dinámica y les va a aparecer una hoja de Excel con estas características.
So once you press the dynamic table button, then a table with these characteristics will appear.
Lo interesante, lo importante acá es, ustedes van a tomar el folio vivienda hogar que crearon.
So you take the code for households that you created before.
Y lo van a poner en como plano cartesiano en el cuadrante inferior izquierdo.
So you're going to put it in the interior left corner, you would say.
En el cuadrante superior derecho van a poner las canastas fiscales.
Cuando hablas de cuadrantes, ¿a qué te refieres?
A estos cuadrantes que hay acá.
Es que no vemos nada.
Perdón, es que me faltan los cuadrantes a los que me refiero.
So he's talking about quadrants. So the first...
The dynamic table.
Estos cuadrantes.
Okay, so those quadrants, and at the lower left-hand side, there you put your variable, your household variable that you built before, and then in the upper right-hand side quadrants, you put the bundles. Okay, adelante.
Y en el inferior derecho, ¿sí se marca acá?
Sí. Lower right-hand side, you put the expenditure, Pero es la suma del gasto, ¿no?
Sí, la suma del gasto trimestral.
So it's the sum of the quarterly expenditure.
Ahora, no sé si Iván Rueda pudiera yo subir un archivo de Excel.
No, no creo que puedas, pero
Hola.
lo que sí puedes hacer es compartir tu escritorio.
Exacto. Compartir la pantalla.
Bueno. De aquí están las 4 pestañas. Ahora, aquí lo que nosotros tenemos es, en la hoja de presentación, es donde va a trabajar, donde nosotros podemos poner cómo están las condiciones actuales, ¿no? Y lo que nosotros queremos simular, ¿sí?
So in this in the presentation sheet, what we have is the what we have currently and then what we want to simulate.
Y aquí lo tenemos también con el otro impuesto indirecto que viene siendo el IEPS en México.
Also for the special tax that is applied for certain items in Mexico.
Bueno. En esta diapositiva ustedes ya lograron, a partir de la vinculación de todas las bases de datos del ENIG,
So once you have an aggregated sheet with all the items from ENIG, from the survey,
Iván,
sí,
¿ya ven esto?
se está cargando.
¿Me avisas cuando ya esté?
Ya está.
Bueno, ahora vean. ¿Se nota mi mouse?
Sí.
Bueno.
So now we see Alberto's desktop live. Good.
Este ya es el archivo el primer archivo del simulador de Cedesol.
So that's the first file for the Cedesol simulator.
Entonces, acá como les comentaba, están las condiciones actuales y lo que se quiere simular.
So you have there the current conditions, tax conditions for different items, and then what would you want to simulate.
Esta hoja de datos, como ya se los presentó Iván, ustedes acá tienen el factor de expansión.
So in that sheet, you have the expansion factor that I was telling you before.
Y tienen el folio vivienda hogar.
And the household variable that you built before also.
Acá está la construcción de deciles que no te da la ENIG y que uno la tiene que hacer y establecer qué tipo de ingreso utiliza uno para esta construcción de decil.
That is not the decil, that decil variable. You have to build it and you have to decide what definition of income you're using to build those income designs.
Por ello puede haber discrepancias, puede haber alguna discrepancia entre lo que presenta el INE y lo presentado por el simulador.
So you because of this you could have some discrepancies between what you have with by the statistics authority or agency and what you're getting from the simulator.
Bueno, ahora, esta base de datos, ustedes tienen, para que lo vean, ahí tienen los 9,000 datos de la encuesta y tienen aquí.
In this table you have the 9,000 households. That's each row is a household. So you have 9,000 more than 9,000 rows for the households. Y las columnas.
Estas columnas son los lugares de compra que les aquí había comentado. Iván, el no aplica, el mercado, el tianguis, el vendedor ambulante, etcétera. Es acá donde están los lugares de compra.
So those columns refer to the different places for buying the items that those that we discussed earlier as well.
Bueno, quería ver en la presentación. Aquí en el simulador, que es lo que ustedes tienen en su manual, el PowerPoint que les acaba de presentar Iván es como un manualito, o un manual.
Yeah. So Alberto says that the PowerPoint is some sort of a manual.
Bueno, lo que vamos a hacer ahora es solamente copiar un hogar. ¿Sí?
We're going to copy just one household.
Entonces, seleccionan este hogar, le dan copiar y ustedes lo van a pegar aquí.
So you go select one household, select that household, copy and paste it there in the simulator.
Ahora, lo que les acaba de presentar Iván, cuando ustedes le dan aquí en fórmulas, le dan mostrar las fórmulas.
So you click on show formula.
Y les va a estar mostrando cómo estar relacionado cada celda con cada dato que tenemos acá.
So you can see the relationship between each cell with each cell, the relationship between cells and items. Okay.
Y pueden ustedes jugar quitando el comando de mostrar fórmulas para ir viendo cómo están comportándose los datos.
So you can alternate with that button showing formula with or without to see how changes modify results.
Vean, lo que nosotros tenemos inicialmente con los datos, tenemos una matriz más o menos de este tamaño con esta cantidad de información en términos de una fila. Es muy grande.
So you have one very big row with a lot of information. That's a lot of columns for each household. It's really, really big.
Por ello, hacemos esta matriz.
And that is that's why we build this matrix that is que es más pequeña, ¿no?
Que esta matriz convertimos todas las filas en,
So
bueno,
it's-
esta fila la convertimos, una fila la convertimos en esta matriz que acabamos de copiar. Bueno,
so one
la
row
que acabamos de
is
copiar la volvemos esta matriz.
so that row that we just copied we turned into this matrix that is easier to read.
Un dato relevante. En el caso de México, la encuesta se realiza en un trimestre, a diferencia de otros países que se realiza todo el año.
An important fact is that in Mexico, the survey is held in one quarter, while in other countries it's held through the year.
Por ello, necesitamos pasar los datos trimestrales, no van a tener el mismo peso y por ello tenemos que pasarlos a un dato mensual.
And that is why we turn quarter results into monthly results.
Si ustedes ven la fórmula que tienen en el manual, la primera semana de la encuesta pesa 2.99 porque está contemplando los 6 meses anteriores que jala información de febrero, por eso pesa 2.99.
So the first part of the formula is divided by 2.99178. That refers to the first 6 months, the first semester of the year, which has February in it. That's why it's less than 3. Y luego,
Para otros países, pues no requieres esta condición por ser el dato anual.
for other surveys, for other countries, you don't need this condition because what you have is the yearly amount.
Luego, tiene uno que establecer el factor de descuento que vamos a utilizar para esta canasta que tenemos acá. Vamos a tenerle que quitar el IVA y el IEPS.
For that basket, you have to remove the VAT and the special tax. That's why you need a discount factor. Okay.
Y acá, dependiendo de cómo esté el IVA y el IEPS, es el factor de descuento. Si se fijan, cerveza y bebidas alcohólicas tienen un factor de descuento muy alto, al igual que tabaco.
That's why you have a different discount factor depending on what kind of item do you have. So, for example, in terms of alcoholic beverages, you have a higher discount factor than for food, and in the case of tobacco is also very high.
Y como ustedes pueden ver, acá te está recuperando la información de la hoja de presentación.
And as you can see, here is recalling data from the presentation sheet.
En esta matriz,
In this matrix,
lo que hacemos es dividir, y aquí pueden utilizar el siguiente comando, rastrear precedentes. Lo que vamos
here you can you can use, I don't know in English the name of that function, but it's like a track precedence, or I don't know, something like that.
En este caso, por ejemplo, es la compra de alimentos y,
So in these cases,
y el factor de descuento que tenemos de IVA y IEPS. Como no tienen IVA y no tienen IEPS, es el mismo valor. Nada más que acá ya lo tenemos anualizado, por eso está multiplicado por 12.
So in this case, when you track the origins, then you have the where you bought it and the discount factor. But in the formula it's multiplied by 12, so it's already annualized.
En la siguiente tabla tenemos lo que nosotros queremos simular.
And in this table, we specified what we want to simulate.
En esta tabla se está contemplando el lugar de compra. Uno es si vas a tomar en cuenta ese lugar de compra, y 0 es para omitir ese lugar de compra.
And in this case, what you're doing there is to consider the place of where you buy. So if it's 1, then you are taking into account those kind of places for tax purposes, and if it's 0, then you're not. You're omitting those places for tax purposes.
En este caso, nosotros tenemos cómo se paga el IVA, ¿no? En este grupo de tienda de abarrotes, ¿sí? Y acá,
in that case, is for example, is the food spot at like small shops.
Y aquí nos da la fórmula si este dato lo tienes tú contemplado, que es el H1, que es una región del IVA, acá estamos tomando en cuenta si es la frontera o si es el interior del país. Y el F94 es el lugar de compra.
So you are also taking into account if the item is bought at the border or in the rest of the country.
Si es eso, entonces ese dato se multiplica por las diferentes condiciones, si es un IVA al interior o un IVA en la frontera.
And in that case, it depends on if the IVA, the VAT is at the interior, the rest of the country, or at the frontier.
En este caso, ustedes pueden ver que estamos modelando un IVA generalizado para...
So we are modeling a generalized VAT
para el interior de México como para la frontera, respetando sus tasas de impuestos anteriores a la reforma del 2013.
So, but without altering the tax rate that applies for the frontier and the interior.
Y luego acá viene calculado el IEPS.
And there it's estimated the special tax.
Y en este caso se le puso un IEPS a vivienda.
And in this case, a special tax was assigned to housing.
¿Sí? Ahora,
Okay, now
si ustedes se fijan, hay errores.
and if you look closely, there are errors
Porque vivienda no tiene este monto de IEPS. Vivienda no está grabado con un impuesto especial.
because housing is not taxed with a special tax. Okay.
Y en este caso nos estamos aquí omitiendo una canasta.
And in this case, we are omitting one basket.
¿Sí ven mi pantalla?
Sí.
Alberto.
Eu,
Hola, Iván.
¿qué pasó, Iván?
Sí.
Aprovecho el momento para confirmarles, tenemos aproximadamente 10 minutos por
Sí, acabo
mucho.
en 10 minutos.
Ok, para alistarnos a la siguiente sesión.
Perfecto.
Perfecto,
Vean,
muchas gracias.
aquí el error era que se estaba en el anterior simulador, el error que estaba cometiendo era en términos fiscales.
So in the previous simulator, the error was that we were taxing on the housing, okay, with a special tax. And
Nos
y luego,
estamos omitiendo una canasta
and
y
we were omitting one basket,
estamos cobrando primero el IVA y luego el IEPS.
and then charging first VAT and then special tax.
Entonces, aquí lo que ustedes ya van a encontrar es el cambio ya de un IVA de 16% y de la canasta fronteriza que había en ese momento en México.
So what you have there is the difference between the rest of the country, the VAT of 16%, and the frontier that is 11%.
Y acá, como ustedes pueden ver, en los grabados ya te da la recaudación, ya sea para el evento interior, ¿no? Lugar de compra, y si es en la frontera, ¿no? O si es al interior del país.
And indeed, in that case, you have the difference between the revenues or depending on if it's at the frontier of the rest of the country and place of buying.
Y acá lo que presentamos es el impuesto recaudado por el impuesto específico y por IVA.
So that's where you have the whole amount of revenue for different for both taxes, the VAT and the special tax.
En este caso no hay un IEP porque el hogar no consume canastas que estén grabadas con dicho impuesto.
¿Lo puedes repetir, Alberto, por favor?
En este caso no hay un pago de IEPS porque el hogar correspondiente no paga, no consume canastas con dicho impuesto.
In this case, IEPS is zero because that particular household is not buying items with the special tax.
Aquí estamos sumando todo lo que se compró de la canasta en los diferentes lugares.
Here we are adding everything that was bought of that basket in different places.
Y se está multiplicando por el factor de expansión.
Multiplied by the expansion factor.
En este caso, el hogar consume o paga solamente en 3 canastas IVA.
In this case, that household is paying taxes, VAT, in 3 baskets, or in 3 categories those categories that we defined before.
Lo que vamos a hacer con la macro es que esto es lo que va a copiar. Va a copiar ese vector columna y lo va a pegar como vector fila.
So what we are doing with the macro, the script that we saw, is the script is going to select that column and paste it. Lo copia como columna y lo pega como
fila.
So it's going to copy it as a column and paste it as a row.
En la hoja de resultados.
In the results sheet.
Y aquí está lo que copió ese primer hogar. Recuerden que no paga IEPS.
So that's the result for that first household. Recording that it's not paying
No paga impuesto selectivo, no paga impuesto específico. Y esto es lo que paga el hogar.
That's what the household is paying in VAT.
De IVA de todas las canastas.
4 baskets, 4 categories.
Y aquí están desagregadas ese IVA está desagregado por canasta.
And there you see the tax disaggregated by basket or category. Okay.
Para la macro que tienen en la presentación, ustedes desarrollan aquí la macro y la macro le dan modificar.
You have their macros. You open the macro in Excel and click modify or edit, and then luego.
Este es el programa de la macro y acá está el loop. El loop te sirve para hacer el procedimiento, el número de veces necesarios del tamaño de la encuesta. O sea, si son 9000 datos, te va a hacer 9000 veces el cálculo.
So then you have the loop there is to run the necessary number of times. So if you have 9,000 households, then that script is going to be run 9,000 times.
Lo que hace la macro es irse a datos.
So the
Ya
macro
copiamos.
goes to data, copies,
Selecciona fila,
selects the row,
copia, pega en simulador,
copy and paste in the simulator,
pega acá, en this, y se hacen todos los ajustes en las tablas porque todas están vinculadas.
and paste there, and then you have results for another household.
Luego la macro copia este vector,
And then the macro copies that vector
y lo pega
and paste it as a row there.
como transpuesta y lo pega en fila.
Paste it transposed as a row.
Vean que este dato de 34.304 es igual que este dato.
You can see that number is the same.
Y lo repito. Esto se hace en este caso 9000 veces. En otros, por ejemplo, en la nueva encuesta lo tendríamos que hacer 80,000 veces.
So if this is done 9,000 times in the new survey, it would be done 80,000 times. Okay.
Para hacerlo más fácil y no se me compliquen, lo que luego hacemos muchas veces al final de mi estancia en el país es, no les dejo esta plantilla.
So that's a template. So he's like the interface.
Esta plantilla que ustedes ven es para que se vea, ¿qué puedo decir? Profesional.
So this template is for it to look like professional, like nice. Sí, para que se vea bonito, ¿no?
Ajá. Pero ustedes pueden, si no saben hacer esas plantillas, es crear un botón y este botón vincularlo con la macro.
So if you don't know how to do those templates, then you can create a button and link that button to the simulator. Like that.
Si ustedes aprietan este botón, ya está corriendo la simulación y aquí abajo se están haciendo todos los cálculos de el simulador del IVA y EPS en México en 2012.
So if you press that button, the simulator is running, and you can see the number of households that is estimated. No 400s.
En este caso es muy rápido por el tamaño de la encuesta y porque lo estoy haciendo en una PC. Si ustedes lo hacen en una Mac, es probable que se tarden más.
So Alberto says that is running fast because he's doing it in Excel with a PC, and if if it's run in Mac, probably will take longer. But I'm a Mac user, so I don't believe pretty much what he say. Ajá,
Ahora,
no te creo mucho, Alberto, porque yo soy usuario de Mac, pero sí.
bueno, si está Lalo, él te puede decir que lo hemos corrido de manera paralela y siempre le ganaba. ¿Eh? O sea, yo no soy o sea, yo tengo celular, iPhone y tableta, ¿cómo se llama? iPad. O sea, no es que sea enemigo de Apple, pero bueno. Ahora, muchos equipos no se construyeron para trabajar este tamaño de bases de datos en Excel.
So most computers are not built to run these big data sets on Excel.
Por eso es que en la última parte de la presentación,
So in the last part of the presentation,
les pido
I'm advocating.
Bueno, ahí está. Esto es bien importante. Llevar la bitácora para ver qué cambios han hecho por si en algún momento se les llega a dañar el archivo.
So he's saying that it's important to keep record of the operations in case the file gets damaged.
Y siempre hay algunos compañeros que llegan si creas un nuevo archivo, eliminas el anterior. A mí por un consejo de un canadiense, siempre me recomendó guardar archivos.
So he's saying that a Canadian guy recommended him to keep the files instead of replacing the old ones.
Por ejemplo, si se me daña este archivo, el archivo 223.
So for example, if you get damaged on a file that is ending in 2.2.3,
y ya no pueda yo recuperarlo, puedo yo irme al 221.
you can go back to 2.2.1 and use it.
Y así no empiezo nuevamente de cero.
That way you don't start from zero again.
Y requieren de mucha paciencia al iniciar el simulador, porque ustedes luego tienen que trabajar en pequeños bloques la base de datos. No crean que se puede trabajar la base de datos y hacer todos los cambios con un solo clic.
So you need to be patient because sometimes you need to work on different parts of the survey. You cannot work the survey at once, at the same time.
Por último, hay muchas cosas en la microsimulación que no están hechas, por lo que ustedes van a requerir de mucha creatividad.
So the last thing is that in the micro simulation there are many things that are not done yet. So you need to be creative.
Y nuevamente, gracias y felices fiestas.
Well, thank you very much and happy holidays. It's the last message. you saw this presentation twice. Obviously, the second one was the good one, and I hope it was useful. I don't think we have any more time left for questions, but then please, if you have any question, please paste it on the put it on the forums, and we will try to answer as soon as possible. And don't forget to participate in the forums and complete the satisfaction survey and the rest of the activities for the course. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias, Alberto. Qué bueno que te conectaste, aunque sea al final.
No, una disculpa por el problema del horario. Yo leí a las 8 de la mañana y lo leí para hora de México. Sorry.
So he's apologizing. He thought it was at 8 a.m. Mexico's time, and it was 8 a.m. New York time. Well, thank you very much, all of you, and y muchas gracias, Alberto.
Gracias, Iván. Gracias, Ivanes.
Okay, no problema.
Happy holidays to all of you too. Thank you, Olga.
Okay, thank you. Please, to the assistants, to the students, please remember to complete the forums activities and also the satisfaction surveys available in the course, okay? Please remember to do this on these few days while the course is active. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye-bye.